My name is Agent David Trujillo, New Mexico State Police Investigations Bureau. In the room with me is
Sergeant Al Benitez, New Mexico State Police Investigations Bureau out of Santa Cruz.
And your name, sir?
Deputy Christopher Bachechi.
And on behalf of you, your representation is?
Tom Grover's counsel, and Adam and I are with my office.
Can you spell your last name for me, please?
It's going to be Bachechi.
Okay, I don't want to butcher it. Bachechi. Okay, so you had your opportunity to view your video, right?
Yes.
Okay. We're here to talk to you about your involvement in the officer-involved shooting that took place in Colfax County. Just letting you know that your statement is completely voluntary.
Okay.
We are conducting a criminal investigation. We're basically fact finders of this investigation. We talked to everybody involved, put a case together, and we send it to the DA's office, and the DA's office is the one that has the final determination of the outcome of the investigation. If you feel like you don't want to answer my questions at any time, you can stop answering. If you need a break, that's fine also. I just want to let you know that kind of how I want this interview to go is I'm not going to let you give your statement, okay, from what you were doing before, how the call came out, how you became involved, and your actions involved in the whole case, okay? So I'm not going to interrupt you. Go on, tell me your involvement. You may see me taking some notes.
Okay.
You may see the sergeant be taking some notes, maybe some follow-up questions that we need to follow up on. After that, I will go into my questionings, and then we'll kind of go from there, okay?
Okay.
So be as detailed as possible. I know you viewed your video.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want a fresh statement, basically what you perceived at the scene, okay?
Okay.
I don't want you to kind of like input stuff that you watch from your video into your statement, okay? So if you could do that for me, that'd be awesome, okay?
Okay.
But you could go ahead and start anytime you want.
Okay. I was on my way back from Raton, heading towards Cimarron. My vehicle was getting maintenance done to it, my unit. I just got pulled off to run some traffic, was there for maybe 4 or 5 minutes when I heard the call come out for Deputy Urquio. He was primary. Heard what the call involved, heard a gun was involved, so that's why I decided to respond. I can make it there in 20-ish minutes, 15-20 minutes, not running code. I decided to go Highway 58 to Interstate 25, and I sat there and watched both lanes of travel, looking for the description of the vehicle. Deputy Urquio got on the radio and said the vehicle was seen in Maxwell, heading towards a tire shop. We all met in Maxwell to see if we couldn't find the vehicle. While patrolling Maxwell, some people on the road stopped Deputy Urquio and told him, I heard this as well, that they saw a gun with the same vehicle, and they saw him pointing the gun out the road or out the window, and they don't know what for. And they told us where he went. Based off where he went, we decided to call our lieutenant to bring out the drone because it was a heavy wooded area. We didn't want him to be sitting in the woods and ambush us, so we just called out the drone. While waiting for the drone, we heard that state police got into a pursuit with him on Highway 445, going towards Highway 6 or US 64. We decided to head that direction. We could tell we're catching up because Deputy Urquio is on the phone with Sergeant Sablotny, giving out direction of travel, how fast he's going, what he's doing. As we're coming up over the hill, getting close to the intersection of 445 and 64, I saw the pits, more than one pit. I did see the head-on. I saw the vehicle go off into the ditch. I kind of parked my unit far back because the vehicle is still moving, and in our policy we are not allowed to pit. So I stayed back because I didn't want to create like a traffic jam. When I saw the suspect get out of the vehicle, that is when I moved my unit up closer. Jumped out of my vehicle with my rifle. We all started giving him commands. I told him to get on the ground multiple times and to stop moving, or to stop walking, because he was walking up US 64. He's not listening to us. Deputy Urquio asked him his name multiple times, no response. Our Lieutenant Dominguez tried to talk to him as well, nothing. He just looked right through us. That is when Sergeant Sabatny came up with the beanbags. He hit him 3 to 4 times with the beanbags, no response. While we're walking up the road, I do see that he has 2 knives on him, one in his pocket and one on his belt. I call that out, I say knives. Deputy Grosner goes to move the traffic back that's starting to pile up. And when Deputy Grosner does that, I pull out my taser, because he was less lethal, so I go to less lethal. When Deputy Grosner comes back, that is when I put my taser back, pull out my firearm. After the beanbags are deployed, does not work. Deputy Grosner tases him twice. First deployment did not work, no connection. Second deployment locks up his left leg, falls to the ground. It works for maybe 2-ish seconds. While he is on the ground, Officer Benway from New Mexico State Police runs up to try to cuff him. He has cuffs in his right hand, and the suspect is able to get the taser prongs out of his leg with his left hand and pulls the knife with his right hand and puts his momentum going towards Benway with the knife. And that is when I fired my rifle. We were able to get everything secure, the knife's away from him. They start CPR compressions, and I run back to one of the units to grab a med kit. And then I start moving units to help block off traffic, and then I join giving CPR. When he does pull the knife, I do yell knife multiple times. I say knife, 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 and then that is when we fired.
Okay. I got a couple of follow-up questions. I kind of want to go back to where you said the vehicle. Do you know what the vehicle description was?
It was a red Dodge pickup, older model, with with a camper shell. They said one caller stated it might have been an SUV because of the camper shell made it look like one, and the other caller stated, well, it could be a camper shell, but they both said red Dodge, older model. And then it was just those 2 people that called that, and they worked for Springer Electric, the callers.
Okay. Do you know what the details were of the call for service was?
Yes, it was the call for service was Springer Electric called our dispatch. They were getting ran off the road by that vehicle description, and he was pointing a silver gun at them. So that's why they called us, and they kind of gave us a general direction. He was on Highway 445 heading towards the Maxwell area.
So I want to take you back to where you coming over the hill on
Okay.
445 when you say the pits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you kind of go into a little bit more detail on what exactly you saw and what transpired
Okay.
through each action, right? Through each pit or head on that you said something about head on. Kind of take me through those details as far as what you saw.
Okay. When I'm coming over the hill, I see, I'm not sure if it was the first or second pit. The vehicle gets spun around, still in the highway, facing westbound. That is when another pit happens. I think it's the head-on, just because the 2 vehicles are at each other, and I wouldn't even call it a pit. I think the guy just hit what it would have been Sergeant Sabatny's unit, and that's when the vehicle got knocked off into the ditch, and he was still trying to move around. Like the vehicle was still trying to go, and I guess I don't know if it just got stuck or if it just died. The vehicle just died because of all the pits. So after so I saw 2 pits for sure. I'm not sure how many pits there were.
Okay. And then you said that you parked a little far back.
Yes.
Right. And you said you got out with your rifle.
Yes.
Did you Particular reason why you chose your rifle to step out of your vehicle?
Because at that distance, I feel more comfortable with my rifle, and we were told by multiple people that he did have a gun.
And to your best of your ability, at the time, how far would you say the suspect was from you and why you stepped out of the vehicle?
I would say maybe 75 yards.
During your statement, you said that you were trying to engage him and telling him to put his hands up and stuff like that. Was he telling you guys anything?
He wasn't answering any of our questions. He was saying something about being free, and that we're on native land. And then he stated something about we can just have it. I don't know what he meant by that. But he kept stating over and over again, don't you want to be free? This is native land. You can't do this on native land. I want to be free. And then something about you guys can have it. And we didn't know what that meant.
And then during your statement, you said that Sergeant Sablotny deployed his less lethal. You said beanbag about 3 to 4 times. Take me through what you observed through each of the times he deployed that.
Sergeant Sablotny came running up behind us because he was back trying to get his beanbag gun. He yells less lethal, less lethal. Hits him. The first time hits him, I'd say right around the kneecap on the inside. No effect. He doesn't even, I think he might have said, ow, or why are you doing that? Something to those lines. Sergeant Sablotny gives him more commands. Listen, Sergeant Sablotny hits him again, kind of higher on the same leg. Nothing, no effect, just keeps walking back. And then same thing for the third or fourth time. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on how many times he hit him with the beanbag.
Okay. And then you said that while you're engaging with him or whatever, that you observed a couple of knives.
I did.
Can you give a description of those knives?
The first knife I saw was in one of his front pockets. Looked like just like a little silver fold-up pocket knife, like one of those little push-button ones. And then the other one was on his belt, on the front of his waist. It looked to be a fixed knife, like a, I don't know, maybe 3-4 inch handle, I don't know, 4 to 5 inch blade, and it was on the front of his waist, and the handle would have been pointing to the left.
So it would have been. Okay.
And it wasn't like one of those fixed knife pouches. I don't know what you would call it.
Okay. And then I want to take you back to where he gets tased, right? Take me through that sequence in a little bit more detail as far as what transpired at that point.
Okay. Deputy Grozer deploys his taser once, and you can hear it doesn't make a connect because it has a different sound to it when it doesn't make a good connection. It has like a higher pitched electrical sound to it. He deploys it again, and you can hear it hits. It does make a connection. It locks up his left leg, falls to the ground, kind of with his back towards, facing this way from me. That's when Officer Benway goes to go in with cuffs. He has cuffs in his right hand, and he yanks the prongs out with his left hand and grabs the knife with his right hand.
Okay, and then based on your training, when you tase somebody, kind of take me through what happens next, like.
Okay.
What's
So
supposed to happen?
we're trained to cuff under what's called power. So when the taser makes a connection, you got 5 seconds, and that gives you 5 seconds to go in and to get his hands and the suspect under control and cuff him. And the only reason that didn't work was because it only lasted for maybe 2 seconds, at the most 2.5 seconds, and that's why he wasn't able to get the suspect cuffed in that time.
Okay. And then, to the best of your ability, when you observed Officer Benway with State Police closing in to put cuffs on, how far would you say Officer Benway was to the suspect?
I would say he was within arm's arm's reach. I was getting ready to lean down. He wasn't touching him yet, but he was getting ready to lean down to go hands on.
And then also, kind of want to take you back to right before you fired, right? What's your rifle equipped with?
It has a red dot on it, an aim point red dot, a sling, and a flashlight.
And were you aiming through your aim point?
I was.
Where exactly were you aiming on the suspect?
Well, when Benway went in for the cuff, I dropped my muzzle because I didn't want to cover Benway with it because of I didn't want to crossfire Benway. So when I saw him grab the knife, I picked my rifle up and I tried to angle it the best I could. So I was aiming center mass, but at an angle, I guess, to try to get away from Benway because I didn't want to get him in crossfire.
And then how many shots did you fire?
I remember one.
One? What made you stop firing?
I saw him plant his left hand to get up, and he kind of turned and started putting his momentum towards Benway. I fired once, and he dropped back down to the ground, so I stopped.
And in this situation, have you ever dealt with that suspect before?
No, I have not.
Was he free to leave at any point?
No.
And then you said during your interview, you said Grossman kind of went to the right. Do you know why he?
Yeah, so he ran down US 64 to tell people to move because they were just lining up, parked. We didn't want him to start going towards those cars because he was getting closer and closer, and we were afraid that he was going to try to carjack a car or take somebody hostage with one of his knives or something. So we were trying to get Grosvenor to move him out the way, but they just kept piling up.
How many? You said you assisted with first aid and stuff like that. Do you remember how many kind of cycles you did?
I would say I did 4 to 5 rounds of CPR.
Do you have anything, Sergeant?
I just started from your question. So you said that when you fired, you mentioned you said we fired. Do you remember if you heard the gunshot before, or how did you know that somebody else fired as well?
I heard Deputy Yukio fire before me.
Okay.
So he was on my left.
Okay. And then you shot right after.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think that's it.
No, I'm gonna kind of go over just kind of like the follow-up questions on like what we got. Okay.
Okay.
Time of day?
12:30 to 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
How many shots did you hear?
How many shots did I hear? I would say, including mine, I would say 6-ish, 5 to 6 shots.
Did your weapon have any kind of malfunctions?
No.
How do you load your magazines in your rifle? How many rounds?
I normally try to have the one in my rifle at 30, but we are so frequently putting down deer, elk, or something that get hit, so I couldn't tell you if there was 30 in it because I don't know if I try to top them off the best I can.
Okay, so you're unsure, but around 30 is what you usually put.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember any incident prior to this happening where you had to do such?
Yes, I did put a deer down in Cimarron.
And how long was that before this happened?
I honestly couldn't tell you. It would have been, I honestly couldn't tell you, maybe a month or two,
Okay.
maybe.
That's
I'm
fine.
not sure, to be honest with you.
You qualified with that rifle?
Yes.
And you were processed by a crime scene?
Yes, I was.
Did you change anything to your uniform prior to that happening?
No. crime scene to process my rifle because it was left on scene in a different unit.
Okay.
So they didn't have it there when I was getting processed.
Do you carry a qualified, do you, or are you qualified to carry a less than lethal?
The only less lethal we carry would be our taser, our OC, and our baton.
Okay. I think how many calls did you take prior to this incident? Did you handle any calls for service?
I can't recall if I did or not, to be honest with you. I would say no because my unit was getting worked on, and normally when that happens, we just sit at the office and work on paperwork or whatever we have to work on.
Okay. Take me through your routine before work. What do you do?
So we have to be ready to go at 7. I normally shower and everything the night before, so I don't get up till 6:30ish. My uniform's already ready to go because I'll iron it the night before. So I'll just throw my uniform on, brush my teeth, and then I'll call out and go. I'll be in service.
How's family life going? Any problems or anything like that?
No problems. I still live with my parents, but I did buy I'm in the process of fixing up my house that I just bought.
Oh, nice.
So, no problems.
Nice. Did you get some good sleep the night before?
Yes.
Okay. And then we do have to let you know at the conclusion of our investigation, after everything is turned into the DA's office, your name will be released in some type of way or manner. But we'll definitely let you or your attorney know exactly when that's going to happen and stuff like that.
Okay.
I'm kind of going to go into your demographics now as far as like name, date of birth,
Okay.
Stuff like that, call sign and stuff. So, what's your call sign?
Colfax 9.
Same thing as your unit number?
No, my unit number would be 217, but we don't use unit numbers for anything other than maintenance reasons.
How long have you been employed?
Since November 1st of 21. So a little over 2.5 years.
And that's going to be total law enforcement?
Yes.
All with Colfax?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember which academy that you graduated from?
I've been class 204.
What are your days off?
Right now,
Yes. Or at the time of the incident?
at the time, it would have been Monday and Tuesday.
Do you work day shift, swing shift?
So we only have a day and a night shift. So at the time I was working day shift.
What are those hours?
7 to 3.
Date of birth. Do you have a work phone?
575-447-0100.
Are you okay if I have any kind of follow-up questions or anything like that? Are you okay if I reach out to your attorney before I do so or anything like that? There may be
Yeah.
something that may come up that I didn't ask, but I just kind of make sure everything is up to par before we submit everything, okay?
Okay.
Have anything else, Sarge?
I think that's it.
Do you have anything else, Mr. Grover?
Just a couple of questions. At the time of the incident, did you know the identity of the suspect?
Like his name and stuff? No, I did not.
When the suspect went down from the taser exposure, you said that the state police officer closed in with a pair of handcuffs
Yes.
to take him into custody,
Yes.
and it was at that point where you saw the suspect holding the knife?
Yes, that's when he pulled the knife out after getting the prongs out of his leg.
Did you have any concerns?
Yes, I was scared for Binway's life because if he was within arm's reach and the knife going towards him.
And this was the large
Yes, this would
single
have been
blade?
a single blade, fixed blade knife.
And from your perspective, was the officer at risk of significant injury?
Yes.
The original call, I believe you said the driver had been trying to run other cars off the road, is that right?
Yes, it would have been Springer Electric.
Okay. So reckless driving at least?
Yes, and they reported him pointing the gun at him.
Okay. So ag assault with a deadly weapon?
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you.
You have anything, sir? Okay, I think that concludes this. I'll give you my card so you could have it. If you need anything, give me a call. That concludes this interview.